What up you guys, this is Bharat here. Welcome back to yet another video with the Codamonk channel. We're going to be looking into the Python 3.9 which got recently released on October 5th of 2020. Now the Python team has actually gone up with a yearly cadence of release, so we can expect every year on October there's going to be a new release of Python versions coming up. Alright, the Python 3.9 version has a lot of new features updated on it, and there are other additional things also we can learn through that. So I'm going to be covering up all these new stuff as well as what are the updates that are available with the Python 3.9 version. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Let's get this video started straight away. Alright guys, so there are pretty much actually 5 important updates when it comes to Python 3.9. That's right, there are a couple of updates with respect to how the new path forward for Python is going to be, and the 3 to 4 updates with respect to the new features that we are obviously going to be seeing as part of this video. Alright, the first thing is obviously that I told right at the beginning of this video, and that is the release cadence change. Previously Python 3.8 till Python 3.8 they're following a little bit of an up and down schedule, meaning that it was actually an 18-month schedule. The Python's versions would hit on pretty much the 18 months or the 1.5 year mark. Now what they have decided to do is actually to be a much more faster in terms of hitting the Python versions, new versions out. So it's going to be October set as the month, so every October is we can expect a new Python version hitting the production environment. Alright, so that's pretty much with respect to the cadence. Coming to the actual technicality of it, Python 3.9 is now become out of the box much more faster. That's right, it's become super fast thanks to the recent changes that the team has developed to actually adopt a much better parser. There is completely difference between the parsers that has been used till Python 3.8 and the Python 3.9. The Python 3.9 is now going to be following something called a PEG parser or the PEG parser, developed by the Python's actual creator himself, Guido van Rossum. So what we can expect from the PEG parser is that it's going to be making the Python itself out of the box much more faster. I haven't actually tested out the speed or anything of that sort here, but I'm just updating here. But I actually have read about the PEG parser, and it's actually an update on the LL1 parser which has been used till Python 3.8. Now what we can expect out of this now, that is also a few of the deprecations that are happening specifically with respect to the parser module. Now you cannot now depend on the parser module. If you try to use it, it's going to throw an error saying that you cannot use this module anymore. There's going to be deprecation warning on that. Now what you can expect going forward is that you can expect that there's going to be change in the parsing and change in the speed of how Python processes stuff. And if you want to go back to the old parser, you can definitely do that, but not recommended at this point of time. There might be few mistakes or few changes that are happening in and out of the Python 3.9 Python 3.8 version changes, so just be aware of that. The PEG or the parsing expression grammar is much more faster in terms of that it practices a technique called as token skipping, meaning that you can convert your high level language or the code that we write into grammatical expressions that the system can understand in much more faster sense, thanks to the token skipping technique that they are using. Again, it's been written by the creator of Python himself, Guido van Rossum. So he has done that and he's been developing it for more than 3-4 years now. So it's finally hitting the market through the Python versions, Python 3.9 version. Alright, so that's it for the couple of updates that I had with respect to the path forward for Python. And we're now going to be looking into the differences and new features that have come out with respect to the Python 3.9. Alright folks, the first thing that I wanted to discuss about was the concept of dictionary unions. We had a little bit of a hint about this coming in the Python 3.8 itself, when there was a talk about a new operator coming into the Python syntax. So what we are expecting now, what we are seeing now is a new syntax, which is the merge operator, which can very well now happily merge two different dictionaries and do union between them. Right, there are a couple of things that we have to know when we are talking about the merge operator. One is that it's actually also going to be having the pipe, which is going to be the symbol for merge. the pipe equal to, which will mean that you can reassign back the merged dictionary back to a simple variable or something like that. So that's a couple of operators are coming into the Python's entire syntax. So operator dictionary as well. Alright, so one important update that they have mentioned in PEP 584, which is the updated version or the update note for the merge operator, is that dict union is not commutative. So this is something that I was finding it really difficult, because I assumed, let's say I have a dictionary D and I have a dictionary E. I have some elements in dictionary D and I have some elements in dictionary E. When I do a merge operator, meaning that D pipe E, I expect the value E pipe D to also be the same. But what they've mentioned is that the dictionary union is not commutative, and that's a very good example to describe that as well. So pretty much what we can expect from the dictionary union operator. It's been there for so long time. I guess reading the change log and the change version, it's really mentioned that it's been a problem for a lot of developers, meaning that they are finding it difficult to merge two different dictionaries in a single line. So they've come up with a new operator to do that. So that's the first change that they've come up with within the 3.9 version itself. Time for the next one, which is also something that I'm really excited to look into. Alright, the second important thing is the concept or the idea of type hinting. Now, type hinting is there in a lot of newer languages, but it's been developed as part of a recent effort to introduce the concept of type hinting into Python as well. It's been incrementally developed starting from the 3.6 version. At the 3.9 version, we are now able to do an addition or increment of the type hinting, whereas we can actually create type hinted variables as well. So what actually the change is saying is that the idea behind, or the rationale behind, is to include type hinting as part of the variables also. So if there is a Python IDE that can actually smell what the type hints are, it can very well stop the developer from making sure not to pass a wrong variable inside maybe inside a method, or maybe even pass it along across the Python program. So that's a very good change, meaning that an example is what I'm giving here. You have something like a type variable A, and you are actually going to be having a list of string in that. Now what you can do is that you can have a variable A and type hint it with the list of string as part of the hint, and now you can normally set the value of the type. You can normally set the value of the variable itself, and if you want to try and change it, or if you want to try and modify this value, and if you pass a wrong value inside this, it's obviously going to shout out saying that no, you're wrongly passing the value. And it's actually great change when it comes to the Python type hinting as well. It's an incremental change. It's not something like it's been newly introduced or anything of that sort, but again, it's a very good change that I actually very much welcome, considering how much mistake we make in modifying or maybe passing data between two different methods, or it might be throughout the program of the life cycle of a Python program. Alright, the next important update from the Python 3.9 version is the relaxed restrictions on how the decorators are actually created. If you are developing Python or using Python for so long, you will be using decorators left and right for a lot of things. In our channel, we have a very new series of videos going on with respect to the Python PyQt5 library, and there's an example what is the exact same stuff in the release version as well. So what now we can expect as part of the decorators itself is that it can now starting with the Python 3.9, it can start taking eval expressions as well. You can take any kind of expression, and there is no restriction on how the decorator should be called. For example, there's an superb example given here. It's actually with respect to using a Q push button, and you're trying to call a decorator on it in terms of clicking the button. So what we are used to giving is that we have a dotted name, meaning that there is a.b followed by an x, maybe optionally a single call. But what we are now with respect to 3.9 can see is that it is now going to be an eval expression. It can be any expression that you want to call on it. Need not be just a simple dotted call. It could be an eval expression. It could be you can even form your own expression inside it, and that's pretty much going to be a game changer with respect to how decorators are going to be formed. The Python PyQt5 libraries definitely should be updating itself in the coming months, and if that is done, you can now see a lot of code being reduced in terms of writing unnecessary code, lengthy code with respect to how the decorators are called alone. So I'm actually going to be calling this as a very important change, even though not a massive change. That's not going to be massively impacting how the Pythonists write code, but it's pretty much how the Pythonists want to go forward with, and it's actually a very good sign of how things are going to be changing. Alright, so far I've seen 3 important changes or 3 important updates with respect to the Python 3.9. The next one is actually a new built-in method or the built-in feature to remove the prefix as well as suffix from a given string. Amazing use case as well. Like, let's say that you have an example of writing the coder monk itself as a string, and if you want to remove the prefix, you just put string dot remove prefix, and you can just pass what exact text or what exact string you want to remove, and it will automatically remove it for you. Similarly, with respect to suffix, it will automatically remove. It's become a string inbuilt feature, so you needn't import any other library or any other option. You can go for any other option, and it's pretty much useful. Maybe not a game-changing built-in feature, but it's also going to be really important. So pretty much what we are seeing with respect to this Python 3.9, it's a little bit lightweight, but the overall idea behind was to go for the new peg parser. The peg parser has been talked about in town for very big reasons, and it's a high time that Python is opting for a much faster parser. And it's been, the complaint has always been that Python is a little bit slower compared to the top industry leaders in programming languages. Even though Python is there in almost every field that you can see, opting for a much faster parser is going to be a game changer for sure. So pretty much what we are seeing with respect to 3.9, there are 5-6 updates that I called out in this video, hoping that you guys liked it. I've got a lot of tutorials on Python and also Python libraries present in this channel. If you like to watch all those stuff, definitely drop a like for this video and go watch them, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. So that's pretty much it from me for this video. Let me meet you in the next one. Until then,